Ember's Oath. Chapter 16. Part 5. Ember. A few minutes later, we pulled through a narrow entrance behind an old mechanic's workshop. A steel gate rolled shut behind us. Cameras covered the corners of the building. Two black SUVs sat near the rear wall. Stone hadn't exaggerated. Secure was exactly what it was. Torque killed his engine. Torch climbed off his bike. Inside. Roxie looked at me. I nodded. We're good. She followed me through the side door. The workshop smelled like oil, metal, and old rubber. The main bay had been cleared of most of the vehicles, leaving a large open space in the center. Stone was already there. So were Falcon, Ledger, and Hitch. Ledger stood behind a workbench covered in photographs. Stone looked up the second we entered. Good. His eyes moved to Roxie, then me. You're both here. What's going on? I asked. Stone gestured toward the table. Ledger's been working since Torque called. Ledger looked tired, but focused. There's more than the truck. I stepped closer. Roxie came with me. What did you find? Ledger picked up the first photograph. This was taken 2 days before the workshop fire. He laid it on the table. A street, a row of buildings, and parked across from the workshop, a blue pickup. My stomach tightened. Same truck? Ledger nodded. Same make. He placed another photograph beside it. Same color. Another. Same unusual rear light. Roxie stepped closer. Can you see the plate? Not clearly. Ledger picked up a fourth photograph. This is from outside your apartment. Roxie froze. The photograph showed the same blue pickup, parked across the street. Not moving, not passing. Parked, watching. For a second, nobody spoke. I looked at Roxie. Her face had gone pale. How long before the fire? Ledger answered quietly. 3 days. My hands curled into fists. 3 days. Someone had been outside her apartment 3 days before the fire. Before any of us knew her. Before she'd met me. Before she knew Hell's Kings existed. Stone leaned forward. There's more. Ledger put another photograph down. Traffic camera footage. Grainy, but clear enough. The same blue pickup traveling away from the West Boulevard house shortly after the fire had been reported. That's 3 locations, Falcon said. Ledger nodded. Possibly 4. 4? He opened another folder. The cafe. Roxie stared at the photograph. I recognized the place immediately. The cafe we'd visited earlier. The one where she first mentioned recognizing a blue truck. The one where neither of us had thought anything of it. My stomach dropped. When was this taken? Ledger checked the timestamp. Today. Roxie slowly sat down on a nearby chair. I moved beside her. She looked at the photograph. Someone was watching us there. Yes, Ledger said. Her eyes closed briefly. How long? We don't know. I looked at Stone. So it isn't just the fires. No, he said. It isn't. He looked around the room. Someone has been tracking locations connected to Roxie. Roxie stood again. I don't like the way everyone keeps saying my name, like I'm a piece of evidence. Nobody answered. She looked at Stone, then at Ledger, then me. I am standing right here. Stone nodded. You're right. His voice was calm. We need to know whether you're the original target. Roxie folded her arms. Or? Stone's eyes shifted toward me. Or you became important because of Ember. The room went quiet. I hated how much sense it made. Roxie looked at me. I didn't look away. I don't know which one it is, Stone continued. And until we do, we're treating both possibilities seriously. Roxie exhaled. I'm not helpless. I know. Stone's answer came immediately. So does Ember. She glanced at me. I nodded. I know exactly how capable you are. Then don't treat me like I'm fragile. I won't. I stepped closer. But protecting you isn't the same thing as controlling you. Her eyes softened slightly. I know. I lowered my voice. I'm just just not going to stand back and watch someone come after you. She studied me for a long moment, then nodded. Fine. Torque folded his arms. Good. Roxie looked at him. Don't get comfortable. A faint smile appeared on his face. Wouldn't dream of it. The tension eased for half a second, then Ledger cleared his throat. There's something else. Stone looked at him. Go. Ledger pulled out a thick folder. I went back through the people connected to all 3 fires. He spread several pages across the table. Not just the property owners. He tapped the first page. The Collins family. The West Boulevard house. Local teachers. He moved to the next. The workshop. Ink. Obviously. Then the third. Roxie. I frowned. There's no connection between them. Not directly. Ledger shook his head. But there is a connection to the incidents. He pointed at the first page. One of the Collins neighbors was a retired firefighter. Another page. One of the first responders at the scene had previously worked with the West Boulevard family's son. Another page. One of the first responders at the scene had previously worked with the West Boulevard family's son. Another. The apartment building? He looked at Roxie. You weren't the only emergency services connection. Roxie frowned. What do you mean? The building's maintenance contractor had a brother who worked for the fire department. Torch leaned forward. That's too many coincidences. Exactly. Ledger tapped the pages. The people connected to these fires all overlap with emergency services in some way. Firefighters, paramedics, people who witnessed something, people who were present, people who may have seen something they weren't supposed to. My mind went back to the first fire. Smoke, heat, the hallway, Roxie, the child, the firefighters, someone watching, a plan. Someone isn't just burning buildings, I said. Ledger nodded. They're selecting people. Roxie stared at the photographs. People who know something. Or people who might know something, Falcon added. Stone looked at Roxie. Which brings us back to your apartment. She swallowed. I don't know anything. Maybe you don't, Stone said, but you were there. Roxie stared at the table. Something... Her voice faded. I looked at her. What? She frowned. I don't know. Take your time. She closed her eyes. I remember the fire. Obviously. I remember the smoke. But the hallway. The child. Her breathing changed. I could see her trying to pull something from the back of her memory. Roxie? She opened her eyes. There was someone outside. The room went completely still. Outside your apartment? She nodded. Before the fire. Stone straightened. What did you see? I don't know. Anything distinctive? She shook her head. I don't think so. Roxie. She looked at me. Try. She took a slow breath. I was looking out the window. Why? I'd heard something. Before the smoke? Yes. She frowned. Maybe a vehicle. A pickup? No? She shook her head. Not that. I waited. She rubbed her arms. There was a man. Every muscle in my body tightened. What did he look like? I don't know. Height? Average. Build? Medium. Hair? I couldn't see. Face? No. Then what do you remember? She stared at the floor. The jacket. I leaned closer. What about it? It was dark. Black? Maybe. She closed her eyes again. There was something on the back. What? I don't know. Roxie. A patch. Her eyes opened. It was a large patch. What did it look like? I couldn't see the whole thing. Anything you remember? She was silent for several seconds. Then, a shape. What shape? Like, she frowned, a snake. Torque shifted beside me. Roxie continued. Or maybe an animal. Color? Red. Her voice became more certain. Red and silver. Ledger immediately began searching through the photographs and files on the table. Roxie looked at him. What? Nothing. He picked up his laptop. Just give me a second. His fingers moved quickly across the keyboard. I watched his face change. First concentration, then confusion, and something much darker. Ledger? He didn't answer. Stone stepped closer. What did you find? Ledger turned the laptop toward us. A photograph appeared on the screen. A group of motorcycles. Several men wearing black cuts. One patch stood out. Red. Silver. A coiled shape. My stomach tightened. Roxie stepped closer. That's it. She pointed at the screen. That's the patch. Ledger looked at Stone. You're sure? Roxie nodded. I can't swear the colors were exactly like that. But the shape? Yes. Ledger leaned back slowly. I know this patch. Stone's expression hardened. From where? Ledger looked at all of us. It belongs to a rival motorcycle club. Silence. Nobody moved. I stared at the photograph, then at Roxie, then back at the screen. For the first time, the fires didn't feel random. They didn't feel like isolated attacks. They didn't even feel like someone simply targeting the people connected to Hell's Kings. They felt planned, deliberate, personal. Ledger closed the laptop halfway. I'll need to verify the individual. Stone nodded once. Do it. I looked at Roxie. Someone had watched her before the first fire. Someone had followed her afterward. Someone had photographed us together. And now a memory she'd nearly forgotten had given us the first real description of the person standing at the edge of the flames. A rival patch. A man outside her apartment. A blue pickup. 3 fires. Too many connections. I reached for Roxie's hand. She took mine. Neither of us said anything. Because suddenly we all understood the same thing. The fires weren't the beginning. They were part of a plan. And whoever had started that plan had been watching Roxie long before any of us knew her name. The room stayed silent. Not the comfortable kind. The kind that came when everyone was thinking the same thing and nobody wanted to be the first to say it. I looked at the photograph again. The rival patch was familiar. Not because I'd seen it recently, because I'd seen it before. Years ago, on the road, at bars, at rallies, places where different clubs crossed paths, and nobody wanted trouble. But seeing it now felt different. Personal? Which club? Torque asked. Ledger looked toward him. I'm not saying yet. Torque's eyebrows pulled together. Why? Because I don't want to start a war based on a jacket patch and a memory. Torque grunted. Fair. Stone stepped toward the table. Can you identify the member? Maybe. Ledger turned the laptop back toward himself. I've got photographs from several events over the last few years. If Roxie's description is accurate, I can narrow it down. Roxie folded her arms. I want to see them. I looked at her. Roxie. She immediately looked at me. Don't. I stopped. I know what you're going to say. What? That I don't have to do this. She shook her head. I know. Then let me. I nodded. Okay. Ledger began scrolling. One photograph, then another. Different clubs, different faces, different patches. Roxie studied each one carefully. No. Another. No. Another. No. Her frustration became obvious. I'm sorry. Don't be, Ledger said. You were looking through smoke and fire. You saw someone for seconds. I know. She stared at another image. Wait. Ledger stopped. Roxie leaned closer. Go back. He did. She pointed at the screen. That one. The photograph showed a man standing beside several motorcycles. Dark hair, broad shoulders, black leather cut. The patch was partially visible, red and silver. My pulse increased. That's him? I don't know. Roxie swallowed. The jacket looks right. Anything else? She stared at the man's face. I never saw his face clearly. Ledger zoomed in. That's not enough to identify him. No, Stone agreed, but it's enough to give us somewhere to start. He looked at Ledger. Find out who he is. Ledger nodded. Already working on it. Stone turned toward Falcon. Contact our people on the east side. Falcon straightened. See if anyone's noticed unfamiliar bikes around the fire locations? Exactly. Got it. Hitch. Hitch looked up. Yeah? I want the clubhouse security doubled. Hitch nodded. And the women? Same. I felt my jaw tighten. Stone noticed. Ember, I'm listening. You're staying with Roxie. I wasn't planning on going anywhere. Good. Roxie glanced between us. Does everyone in this club always make decisions this quickly? Torque smirked. Pretty much. She looked at me. You're okay with this? No. Her eyebrows lifted. That was honest. I don't like you being in danger. Neither do I. But I trust Stone. She nodded. Then I trust him too. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then Ledger's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen. His expression changed. Stone. Stone turned. What? I've got something. Everyone gathered around him. Ledger opened a message. That photograph was taken at the Black Hills rally 3 years ago. Who's the man? Falcon asked. Ledger hesitated. Name's Cole Mercer. I didn't recognize it. Torque did. His face hardened. You sure? Ledger looked at him. You know him? Not personally. Torque's voice was low. But I've heard the name. Stone's expression darkened. Tell me. He's connected to the Red Vipers. The name landed heavily. Roxie looked at me. I could see the question in her eyes. I answered quietly. Rival club. She nodded. Ledger continued. Mercer isn't listed as an active member anymore. Why? Stone asked. Left the club 2 years ago. That doesn't mean anything. No. Ledger looked at the screen. But here's the interesting part. He turned the phone around. His last known address was here. He tapped the screen. Rapid City. My stomach dropped. He's local. Was local, Ledger corrected. According to this, he moved. Where? Ledger looked up. That's the problem. Stone's eyes narrowed. Where? Address hasn't been updated. The room fell quiet again. I looked at Roxie. She was staring at the photograph. That's him, she whispered. I moved closer. You sure? She nodded. I remember the way he stood. That's enough. She looked at me. No, I frowned. I mean, she took a breath. I remember something else. Everyone turned toward her. What? Stone asked. Roxie rubbed her arms. He wasn't alone. My blood ran cold. What? There were 2 people. 2 men? I think so. She closed her eyes. I only saw one clearly, but there was another? She nodded. I remember another motorcycle. Anything distinctive? She shook her head. Just black. Ledger immediately began typing again. That's useful. Roxie gave him a frustrated look. How? Because Mercer wasn't supposed to be in Rapid City. Stone stared at Ledger. Explain. Ledger looked up. His records show he left the area 2 years ago. So? So if Roxie saw him outside her apartment before the first fire... He paused. He came back. Nobody spoke, because that changed everything. He hadn't simply happened to be nearby. He'd returned, and if Mercer had returned for a reason, there was only one question that mattered. Why? Stone looked at me. Ember. Yeah? Stay with Roxie. I nodded. He turned to the others. We find Mercer. Torque's expression hardened. And if he's involved... Stone's eyes became cold. Then we find out why. He looked around the room. But nobody touches him. Torque frowned. Stone... Nobody. The word carried enough weight to stop the argument before it started. We don't know what we're dealing with yet. I looked at Roxie. She reached for my hand. Her fingers slid between mine. I squeezed them gently. Because whatever happened next, one thing had become painfully clear. Someone had come back to Rapid City. someone who had been watching her, someone connected to a rival club. And somehow Roxie had been standing at the center of it all before either of us even realized there was a target. The net wasn't tightening around the killer anymore. It was tightening around us. The story isn't over yet. Join me in the next part of Chapter 16 of Ember's Oath.